Welcome to a Sunday reset. I decided to do a little pedicure on these dog toes. I'm using my Dr. Teal's foam bath. Y'all, I put way too much soap in there. And a bath bomb. Look at all that soap. Ooh. Ooh, it's hot. Ooh. Woo. It was hot, y'all. I'm not even gonna hold you. Ooh, I tried it. Too hot. And I'm making a mess with the bubbles, but it's fun. And I just got the shower, but I decided I needed another one apparently. But I'm a big kid. Look at that. I'm just making a complete mess, but yeah, having fun with all this extra bubbles. Finally got my feet in there and they're soaking, and it was still very hot. And I had to catch up on this interview with Miss Ashanti, y'all. She dropping gems, so if you have not watched that, please do. Just enjoying that. Now it's time to screw these feet. The heels be healing, okay, y'all? So if y'all ain't getting them back in them heels and y'all wearing them sling back sandals, them sling back heels, y'all just hiding them heels in those socks, and then you take them off, or you ready to go to bed and you scratching up all your sheets and your man. Yeah, no. Scrub please, and thank you. Face mask, love it. And I'm back being childish, just watching the bubbles. It's just therapeutic for me. And the dogs, roof, they popping out. So fun. I had so much fun doing that for some reason. Eye patches, because yeah, you need to wear them. What's wrong with you? And there are the dogs. Like, y'all, I don't have pretty feet, but I make sure they done. Okay? And period. Did y'all like that? Welcome to another video. A Reset Sunday mental health topic type video. I'm in here, no makeup, fresh faced. Got me my favorite water, alkaline water. This is not sponsored, by the way. It's my favorite. So if you are here for the first time, I am Rebecca Lamb. I do beauty videos, fun videos, lifestyle videos, and I talk about topics in our community that will help better us and make us feel good inside and out. So if this is your first time here, hey, don't forget to like this video and subscribe, and leave your comments down below what you think that I should talk about next, or your thoughts about what I'm talking about today. So today we are going to it's going to be like a rant ramble, but I do have a topic, and the topic today is finding your purpose. What does that mean? What does that look like? How can you achieve that? And how can you walk in your purpose successfully? So a lot of times when we think about our purpose, we necessarily think about what we're good at. You know what I'm saying? Or what makes us the most money to get us out of any situation, or to get us to obtain things that we want out of life. I feel like a lot of times when you're younger, whatever pays the bills, that's your purpose. My goal is to get out of this situation. My goal is to have this type of car. My goal is to make sure my children is this, or whatever the case may be. And that could be your initial purpose. But finding your purpose in life is not necessarily what you do for a living, or necessarily what you get paid to do for a living. Finding more like what you are really interested in doing versus what you are meant to do in this world are two different things. For example, I work in education. I'm very good at that. I've been doing it for 11 years. And I don't necessarily think that is my purpose in life. It's just something that I'm good at. Now, don't get me wrong, working with children brings out such good things in children. I feel like where I am with them and the relationships I build with them, it is valued, especially coming from somebody who I didn't really value education. I didn't have anybody in the school systems when I was younger and growing up that was pushing me, that looked like me, that care about the same things I cared about. And you know, for me, I was a high school dropout, so I think my story and what I do with my life resonates with a lot of people, and so that makes me good at what I do, and I enjoy doing that, making those connections. But when we talk about finding our purpose, first of all, we got to start being real with ourselves, because sometimes your purpose is not going to make you a millionaire. And so a lot of times people put their purpose aside because it's not making them the amount of money that they want to have. So what typically happens with that is when you deviate from your purpose to go for money, then you become unhappy. Eventually. I'm not saying, you know what I'm saying, you making that money, getting to that bag, paying off your student debt if you have it, helping your mother and your father with bills, or paying off your medical debt if you have it, paying for cars straight out if you want to do that. If you got it, you got it. Those things bring temporary happiness. Those things are things that can be taken away from you in any moment. So I'm not talking about that aspect. I'm talking about past that. Once there is no bills, once everything is taken care of, once, you know what I'm saying, you've gotten to a point where you feel that your money has gotten you where you want to be in life. And you're still waking up 4 o'clock in the morning. You're still waking up 3 o'clock in the morning. And you're doing your job, it's paying, but you still feel unfulfilled. You feel drained. You're unhappy. Everything bothers you about the job or whatever you're doing. And that's when you run into the problem of not fulfilling your purpose and turning the cheek to your purpose for money. But that's after you recognize what your purpose is, right? So what I want to talk about is actually knowing what your purpose is. How do you recognize that? And my first thought and suggestion on knowing your purpose and recognizing your purpose is actually getting a connection with who and what you believe in spiritually. If you don't believe in God, if you're more inclined to other aspects of spirituality, whatever that is for you, you need to get in touch with that, and you alone. A lot of times we have a lot of distractions. I'm not saying you gotta just hoard yourself in the house and don't do anything, don't talk to anybody, but you have to hone down and really have that honest conversation and ask. For me, and a lot of people, is asking God to search your heart, search your mind, and speak to you on what is really real for you. Sometimes we don't really know what's real for us because we're told, okay, this is what you're supposed to do. This is what you should be doing at this age. This is what you should be looking like at this age. This is what you should have at this age. But a lot of times that's not reality for a lot of people. We're not a one-size-fits-all type of people, even though society would like to put everybody in this same box. So this is that. But in reality, living like that and trying to obtain that mindset and live the way the society wants you to will literally drive you crazy. So I've always said to live in society, but be a part of society, because that's not realistic, okay? So that's my first tip, is to actually, if you do believe in God, ask Him to search your heart, search your mindset. And then once He searches that for you, actually pray for clarity. See, a lot of times we are confused with our inner voice. We're just thinking, oh, this God is God. God is talking to us. The world, the universe is telling me to do this, so that's what I'm supposed to do. But there are a lot of entities that can filtrate into our heart and our mind. And if you don't know how to decipher which one is the positive entity, the correct entity, you can lose sight of your purpose. I'm a believer of God, and I believe in angels, but I also believe in demons. I also believe that they have a certain power as well, um, because they were just angels in heaven, just like any other angel that just was hurtled out of heaven. So you have to be mindful that every voice and every inclination, every thought, everything that you feel all the time within yourself is not always the way to go. It's not your inner conscious telling you what to do. It's not God speaking to you. Sometimes that inner voice is coming from fear. And what I mean by that is our subconscious reminds us all the time of what we're afraid of. Whether we speak it, whether you know it, or your friends know it, your family know it, your subconscious always reminds you of what you're afraid of. And sometimes your subconscious can talk to you and speak to you and say, well, don't try that. Don't do that. Or necessarily the fear of homelessness, the fear of failure, the fear of people not understanding your purpose, the fear of people not accepting your purpose. It can be as small as that. To you it may seem small, but honestly, those factors and those voices in your head can literally stop you from doing the exact thing that God wants you to do, because you're afraid of what other people understand about your purpose. And I'm here to tell you right now, the only person that needs to understand about your purpose is you. I know you hear that a lot, but let's go into depth why that is important. Because a lot of times, the more friends and family that you have, the more you depend on their validation. I don't care what you say. You can say, oh, I don't care what they say, I'm doing me, and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, everybody wants their loved ones to approve of their lifestyle, period. Of course, everybody does not have that luxury of having family and friends that approve of their lifestyle. But everybody wants some people in their life that they love to approve what they're doing. So when it comes to your purpose, and people are not only not approving of it, but not understanding it, thinking it's crazy, thinking it's silly, you can still say, oh, I'm gonna do what God told me to, or I know this is what I'm supposed to do, but you can put yourself in a situation where you don't go as hard, or you don't really believe in yourself or stand tall in your purpose, or you're afraid to, like you're sometiming with it or hiding behind your purpose, but like purposely, secretly doing it, but to a point where you don't want people to see that you're loud and proud about it, but at the same time, you don't want to just completely negate it. And see, that right there is the danger right there. Because you're not necessarily stopping and moving your purpose, but you're not moving forward. You're in a standstill. And you can take that standstill, can put you way behind, years behind, actually living towards your purpose, doing your purpose, solely because you're afraid to stand tall in your purpose. You're afraid to be that one person over to the left and there's 10 people over to the right. You're afraid that you're down here working and being in your bubble and everybody's up here partying and having fun. You're afraid of that judgment. You're afraid of the people that's up here are your family, your friends, could be your husband, could be your kids. You know what I'm saying? And you're right here. You're afraid of that distance. What if it grows? Then you know what? It should grow. That distance between you, your purpose, and your loved ones could be the very thing that's going to push you to walk in your purpose. I have always said this, and I always stand by it and believe it. Sometimes when the only option is to do the right thing and do the right thing by you, there's no other option, that's when you're focused. See, a lot of times when we have a lot of options, or we have a lot of distractions or things that we can choose to do instead of actually hunkering down, doing what we gotta do, we halfway get it done, we take our time, but you literally got your back against the wall when it is only you, when you have nothing to do but to get down to what you need to be doing. That is when you produce some of the best goals, the best work, because now you have no excuse. There is no, oh, because my husband, oh, because my job, oh, because my kid. It's you now. So what you gonna do? You know what I'm saying? So after you have that conversation with God or whoever you believe in, and you recognize your purpose, and you are at the point where you are comfortable with being uncomfortable with your family or friends understanding your purpose, then it is the question of, how do I start? How do I execute? What is my plan? And so my suggestion, when you get to that point and you're trying to do plans, there are specific ways you can go about it. My main thing is making obtainable goals and celebrating those small achievements. When I say obtainable goals, a lot of times we're told to set the bar really high, so if we fail, you know what I'm saying, it won't be like too much of a fail, because you set the bar so unattainably high that you won't feel bad about not reaching that bar. That's a bad thing. That's a bad way to think. That is a bad way to think, because here's the thing. No matter, in your brain, you're telling yourself, oh, it's okay, because I know I set this bar really high, and it's okay if I came by right here. But in all reality is, it's a fail to you. It's a fail to you. And it'll be a fail to others. Because on top of that, you have to explain to people, or they're looking at you not achieving the goals that you set out. Make obtainable goals. Make short-term goals and make long-term goals, and be real with yourself about how you can obtain those goals. And that's really about having an honest conversation with yourself. A lot of people don't know how to do that. A lot of people shy away from the truth about themselves because they know it don't sound right, or they'll be judged, or they judge other people based off how they feel too. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people tell themselves, this is me, or this is how I act. With all reality, it's not really you, it's who you want to be. But you're not even being real with yourself. So when you go to make your goals, you're gonna fail, because you are making your goals off the assumption of who you want to be versus who you are. You know what I'm saying? Who you're afraid of that vulnerability, because who you really are isn't popular, probably. Is it really talked about? It's shamed upon. You probably shamed other people the same way that thinks and feel like you. So it's just like, well, I can't come out and say this is me, this is how I feel now, because I've criticized people in the past. You gotta get rid of that. You gotta get rid of that. You gotta get to a point where you recognize that you're human, and the mindset you had back in 2014 should not and will not be the same mindset you have in 2022. And I feel like social media has a great way of putting people and keeping people in old mindsets. Like, social media does not allow you to grow. Like, you can say something, you can say I'm against abortion right now in 2022, but then someone will pull up a tweet or Instagram when you were like, I don't think abortion is all that bad in 2015. And it's like society has this chokehold on you, thinking that you have to continue to feel and act the way that you did in 2015. All reality is, if you are still acting and thinking and moving the way you were in 2015 and 2022, then that's a problem. That's a problem. But no one wants to talk about that. Everybody wants to talk about what you said 10 years ago, or what you said 5 years ago, probably what you said 5 months ago. Well, our reality is, if you're doing the work to deviate into your purpose, you're going to grow. And some things that you said is not relevant to you anymore. Some things you said that you don't agree with anymore. Some ways and lifestyles that you used to deal with, certain things, are not how you deal with them now. You know what I'm saying? Like, say you never had kids. Say you don't have kids in 2005 or whatever. You out partying every day, all night, and you're like, I can't see myself having no children, or you know what I'm saying? Like, it didn't matter to you how you lived your life. But let's fast forward 10 years from then, and now you got kids, you know what I'm saying? And so certain things that was important to you back in 2005 is not important to you now, because what's important to you, your priorities change, what you're living for has changed. And that same mindset is the same thing with growth. I feel like the only time people allow growth is when you have kids. Now they're like, oh, you got children, I see why you're settled down. Or, oh, you got children, I see why you don't party. Or, oh, you got children, I see why you're not buying Gucci and Prada every 5 seconds or whatever the case may be, because you have kids. That is the only time really people really accept your growth. If it's anything else, it's just like, oh, well, you said this. Like, why can't I just grow for me? And since a lot of times, a lot of people problem too, and we'll talk about that, is that people wait to have children to start maturing. When honestly, I was always told, you play how you practice. I'm not saying you gotta be walking around here acting like a mama and stuff, but there are certain things that you should be preparing your mind, your soul, your spirit, your body for before you have kids. Because your children are looking up to you and trying to see what is best for you. You should not, I hear people all the time saying, oh, my child grew up with me and they see me go through a lot of stuff. And look, that's over and done. It already happened. But honestly, it is not up to your children to grow up with you. You should already be grown up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying you're not going to continue to grow, but there are certain things you should have mastered before you decide to be solely responsible for another human being's life. That's just my opinion. But back to actually walking into your purpose. So you talk to God or whoever you believe in, right? All right. You are comfortable with being uncomfortable, and now you've created some space between your family and friends, okay? You've set small, attainable goals, right? Right? You set those small, attainable goals, and you're achieving them, right? Okay, so now you have to get to a point where, okay, so now you have to get to a point where you are ready to execute. I'm not saying as soon as you know what I'm saying? Again, that's when you're going back into talking to God, talking to your believer, and asking Him His better timing. See, a lot of times we have our timing, and then there's God's timing. My mama always told me, if you want to make God laugh, tell Him what you're going to do. Because a lot of times we're like, oh, we're about to do this, and God like, but look, wait, I'm about to hit you with this. Life about to hit you with this. So execution of your purpose may not necessarily happen when you want it to happen, okay? Does not mean it's not your purpose. Does not mean it's not what God has for you. It's just not right now. There are plenty of people that have started multi-million-dollar businesses, that have created wonderful podcasts, that have become great actors and actresses, who have become doctors and lawyers past 45. And society would tell you, if you're 30 and you not got it all together by now, then you ain't getting it. What? Okay, again, society versus God, okay? God for the win, society for the lost. Like, seriously, you got to get to a point where it's a joke. I look at social media and I see all these expectations that society puts on people that they don't even live up to themselves, and I just laugh. Because it's not real. Like, you know what I'm saying? But I also feel bad for people who actually let social media validate their lives. Like, if it's not on Facebook, how do you live? If it's not on TikTok, where to go? Like, if I can't FaceTime anybody, how do I talk to people? How do I make friends? Like, I feel sorry for those people, because they generally do not know that that's just a small inclination of being social. Social media is not the only way of being social. It is what people gotten used to, got comfortable, because you can put on there what you can and what you want people to see, and what you don't want people to see, you ain't got to put on there. But it is a small way of being social. You can actually go outside and talk to people. Wow. You can actually go to conferences and talk to people. You can meet people. You know, there is so many ways of being social, but people just stuck with social media and just ran with it. And there are so many opinions on social media, mine being one, you know, but there are so many opinions that people have lost sight of what's real and what's just a status. What people just are trying to get for clout, trying to go viral. Like everybody wants to go viral, and they don't care if they're putting misinformation, misguided bullshit out there. They don't. You know, so you got to get yourself in a point to yourself and just be like, okay, I'm gonna do what God tells me to do. Y'all be good though. Y'all be safe. Like, like seriously, you gotta get to the point where you are in society, but you're not a part of society. You know what I'm saying? So that execution of your purpose may not always be when you want it. It may be, you may be ready to go right then and there a month from now, once you finally got to your goals. And you could be ready a year from now, and you got to get to the point where when it's your time, it's your time. Now, you can't let God do all the work, okay? What he say, faith without works is what? Dead, okay? But when you have done the work, when you have prayed on things, when you have fasted, put yourself in positions to win and cleared out all the negative energy, and it's not happening right at that moment, you know right now is not for you. Right now doesn't mean that it's not for you forever. See, a lot of times we live in a microwave society where if it's not happening, if I'm not in shape in 6 months, then I ain't gonna be in shape. But did it take you 6 months to get that big though? Okay? Like we live in a society where if it's not instant, it's not meant for me. And that's just, I've always said, things that come easy are not worth keeping, and things that worth keeping will not come easy. So you have got to get to a point where it is going to take time for you to get that God-defined purpose. Sometimes it's going to take time, and when you know it, when you finally get it, and you're walking within your purpose, every doubt, every obstacle will literally just melt. It's like the path to success. You will embrace it, you will love it, you want to talk about it, you want to make books about it, because it was your path to success. It was not pretty, it was ugly, it was long nights, you missed out stuff with your homegirls, you know what I'm saying, you saved money, you didn't get the car, you got a 2005 car instead of a 2020 car. All these things that you set aside to exhale. You know what I'm saying? And that, to me, is worth all the things that you thought you were missing out on. Because there are a lot of people who don't know how to do that, and they got all these things but are miserable. Why do you think the suicide rate is so high amongst rich people? Because they have things. When you have clarity with God and walking in your purpose, it's priceless. So that is it for my Sunday reset. I just wanted to talk about purpose, and you know, y'all know me. I just deviated on to some other stuff. I'll be rambling, okay? But I think that you guys enjoy my authenticity, and I enjoy being authentic because it's literally all y'all gonna get from me. I'm never gonna try to be like another YouTuber. I'm never gonna try to be like anybody else. I take suggestions, but honestly, if it don't sit right in my spirit, I'm gonna say thank you for your suggestion. That sounds great, but it ain't for me. Okay, and that's just me. So I appreciate you guys for rocking with me. I love you guys, and please try to walk within your purpose, because your purpose is going to make everything else around you obsolete. It's gonna make it optional. That house is optional, that car is optional, that relationship is optional, because when you find your purpose, it is the difference between finding your purpose is, this is what I gotta do. This is what I'm born to do. This is what I wake up and think about. This is what I feel like. This is me. Your purpose is who you are. What you do for a living is what you do to make money. All right. I'll see you guys in the next video. Deuces.